Welcome to part 2 of The Mausoleum Line, Sir Francis Dashwood, Occultism, and the 116-911 Master Code. The area where the mausoleum stands is believed to have previously been a pagan religious site, with an altar on the hill. There is some evidence to suggest that the caves below the mausoleum had existed long before Dashwood began his excavation work, and that they too had previously been associated with paganism. In his presentation, Remapping High Wycombe, researcher John Rogers claims that West Wycombe Hill is the starting point of a ley line that runs to Burgers Hill on Woburn Common, and beyond. Such locations on ley lines are known as earth energy points, and can be identified by the presence of aquifers or underground streams known as water lines. Underground tunnels can be created by the passage of water over long periods of time, which could explain how the caves inside the hill were originally formed. We know the River Styx was an underground river back in Dashwood's time, and that a small boat was needed to cross it in order to reach the inner temple. In February 2014, the caves were temporarily flooded up to the banqueting hall. This happens on a regular basis. The River Styx grows in size for a few days, and then returns to normal. Other indicators that West Wycombe Hill is an earth energy point include the presence of St. Lawrence Church, the remains of an Iron Age hill fort, and a historical reference to a pagan temple of a similar style to Stonehenge once having existed at the site. The website, geo.org, lists the feelings experienced by people when they are standing over a water line.
Slow, and warm, and fuzzy, heavy in my arms, faint, undulating energy. Surprise, electric, pleasing. A flowing directional pool, like ripples, chocolate syrup, calming energy.
The author has experienced the atmosphere at the mausoleum on numerous occasions, and can describe it as powerful, vibrant, ethereal, relaxing, and timeless. In his mind it creates the impression of warm treacle or flowing syrup, sometimes with dirt or poison mixed in with it. Such impressions would indicate that West Wycombe Hill is an earth energy point, which would make it part of a ley line system as Rogers is claiming. The author has been told by a local that the mausoleum is known as the dead center of Wycombe. A brief video of the interior can be found at the YouTube account World VHS and is called West Wycombe Mausoleum, a tour inside, at the Golden Ball, Bones Found. The video might go some way to explaining how the mausoleum acquired its nickname, as it would appear there are some unidentified and previously unknown occupants entombed in its structure.
Well, now I'm actually inside, which I've never been in before. So, we can have a little tour of the actual mausoleum.
The bones have been found.
Go on then.
Right, the first set of bones was in that arch over there, round the back here.
Which archway?
That one directly in front of you, the one with the gravestone in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, some bones there, was there?
I think that was
a knee joint?
Yeah, in that arch there. We found part of a pelvis in the bottom of that, where them white stones are, when we took that out.
Alright.
We found another arm bone over there when we took that lot out.
So where did you cement the bone?
It's in the top right side of that arch.
Top right hand of this arch here, where the gravestone is, yeah? Let's have a look. Top where? Oh, up there?
Yeah.
So it's up there somewhere? Ah, okay. So it's on him? Her?
That's her gravestone.
So I wonder why they've got bones in there then. I thought they'd have buried them people. They must have just put all the bones in there.
There's bones all over the walls. Pelvis in there. Another arm bone in that one over there. Wherever we go, we're finding bones. So you've even got the grave pits in the ground around it. You have to be careful where you go.
Oh shit, I've been turning everywhere. I wish you'd have told me.
Well, there's a great big one that's caved in where we took them stones out. We have to put boards over them so we don't tread on anyone's head.
Oh, bloody hell. So have you seen any ghosts or anything like that? No ghosts?
I even spent the night in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
You got nothing?
It was very peaceful actually. I woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning and the moon, it was a brilliantly clear night and this little block looked like it was in sunlight.
Huh.
Because the flint turns white in moonlight.
In the occult, the concept of Satan and Satanism has its origins in the planet Saturn. There is a permanent hexagonal shape on Saturn's south pole. The shape of the mausoleum is hexagonal, therefore, the mausoleum is symbolically connected to Satanism via its hexagonal design. The word hex, which appears in the word hexagon, refers to the practice of magic, or to the act of bewitching someone. The pedestal has a very obvious connection to the Dashwood estate, and therefore Sir Francis Dashwood. It looks like a smaller version of the golden ball atop St. Lawrence Church, and was perhaps intended to emulate it. West Wickham Road has a synchronistic connection to the Mausoleum line through its 116-degree geographic bearing. This is because the number 161 is a permutation of the number 116. 161 West Wickham Road is probably a former part of the Dashwood estate. R25-23 West Wickham Road, 161 West Wickham Road, the pedestal column, and St. Lawrence Church, a system of structures that are in some way linked to West Wickham Hill? Could the rooftop of 161 West Wickham Road once have had a ball like the one atop St. Lawrence Church, the pedestal, and 25-23 West Wickham Road? Is the green and yellow BP logo next to the building the symbolic replacement for the missing ball? Could the golden ball on top of St. Lawrence Church be a symbol of the sun? The atmosphere at the 161 transit is uncomfortable. There are a lot of so-called undesirables who live in close proximity and frequent the BP garage. (25-23 West Wickham Road) is probably a former part of the Dashwood estate, as evidenced by the pedestal and St. Lawrence Church-looking ball on its roof. As mentioned previously, 25-23 West Wickham Road, 161 West Wickham Road, the pedestal column and St. Lawrence Church, may be a system of structures that are connected to West Wickham Hill. The atmosphere at this site is depressing, and the building has a dark and oppressive appearance. The following are quotes taken from online sources that explain the supernatural and symbolic meanings of a crossroad.
Crossroad is a symbolic term denoting the union and joining of paths. The association of the crossroad with witchcraft goes back to ancient Greek and Roman times. Classically, the crossroad symbolizes a joining of three roads, the balance of opposites, and the meeting of time and space. Since classical times, the crossroad has been a favored place for witches to gather, because of its link to nature spirits and the moon goddess. When the symbolic crossroads were Christianized, they became symbols of dread. Crossroads become the construction sites for gallows and suspended gauges that contained bodies of criminals. Also, suicide victims, who were not permitted burial in hallowed churchyards, were frequently buried near a crossroad. Then too, the Judaic-Christian devil was said to hover near crossroads. All of this, of course, helped to defile the sacred grounds where witches gathered. In folk magic and mythology, crossroads may represent a location between the worlds, and, as such, a site where supernatural spirits can be contacted and paranormal events can take place. Symbolically, it can mean a locality where two realms touch, and therefore represents liminality, a place literally, neither here nor there, betwixt and between. In Western folk mythology, a crossroads can be used to summon a demon, in order to broker a supernatural deal. This legend can be seen in many stories. For example, in 1926's Faust, The title character summons the demon, Mephistopheles, at a crossroads. In the US television show, Supernatural, crossroads demons are a recurring plot device. In the UK, there was a tradition of burying at crossroads criminals and suicides. This may have been due to the crossroads marking the boundaries of the settlement, coupled with a desire to bury those outside of the law, outside the settlement, or that the many roads would confuse the dead. Crossroads were considered significant markers for supernatural or non-local activity. In other words, reports of seeing ghosts, apparitions, specters at crossroads count up into the thousands. Early Europeans used to bury criminals and suicide victims at crossroads, with the thought that when their spirit rose from the dead, they would be confused, and return from whence they came, and leave the living undisturbed by their presence. Crossroads are often situated on top of natural ley lines, which are intersections of high energetic vibrations from the Earth and its atmosphere. These high-voltage spots are often blamed for car accidents at intersections. Thus, it was that in ancient Greece, crossroads acquired sacred meaning, and divine help from Hecate, goddess of the crossroads, was invoked at places where three roads met. Images of Hecate trivia. Hecate of the Three Ways, guarded three-way crossroads for many centuries. Barbara Walker tells us that besides presiding at crossroads, Hecate was also the guardian of gates, especially the gate of birth. Under the name of Enodia, a name shared by Hecate, Artemis, and Persephone, the underworld goddess also ruled the gates of death, and was the original holder of the key to Hades. In the Yoruba culture of Africa, Eligba the divine messenger is still consulted for divination. Louisa Tish says she is the master of the crossroads, the gatekeeper who stands between the material and the spiritual, the visible and the invisible, between existence and oblivion.
In summary, the Pastures Crossroad could be considered a supernatural place that marks the boundary between two realities and is associated with ley lines. Creative Memorials has a very obvious symbolic connection to the Mausoleum. Both buildings are associated with death, the dead, and remembrance of the dead. Creative Memorials makes preparations for the dead, while the Mausoleum houses and memorializes the dead. The geographic location of Creative Memorials can't be happenstance, especially when there is line of sight between it and the Mausoleum. The numerical link and shared themes of the 222 passage at the Pastures Crossroad, and the 222 secret passage at West Wickham Hill, should convince the reader of this. Even the door pediment of Oxford House looks suspiciously similar to Dashwood's memorial inside the Mausoleum, especially when its dimensions are matched. It's as if Creative Memorials at the Pastures Crossroad is echoing the Mausoleum on West Wickham Hill. If the Mausoleum and Creative Memorials are analogous to each other in some way, then the question could be asked, what is the history of the Pastures Crossroad, and what is beneath the surface of the site? The reader should bear in mind that the caves lie beneath the Mausoleum. The atmosphere at Creative Memorials and its surrounding buildings is that of decay and despondency. 17 West Wickham Road is practically falling down and propped up with metal supports. 23 to 21 West Wickham Road looks abandoned, and 46 to 42 West Wickham Road looks like it came off the set of a 1980s fantasy film. In general, the whole area feels outlandish and desolate, as if it had been transported from some dark and dying reality. If we accept that the physical world is a reflection of the non-physical, then what does this tell us about the supernatural properties of this area?